Today, we're going to be taking this open position C major scale and we're going to turn it into 84 modes. That's 12 keys of the major scale, all 7 modes in each one, using one pattern throughout the neck. Let me show you how. First step, we're going to refamiliarize ourselves with the open position C major scale. For those of you that already know this, what we're going to be doing is calling out the note as we're playing. So this open scale starts on the note E. We don't have to start on the note C for it to be a C major scale. It's the content of the scale. So C major has no sharps or flats, so if I play E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, it's still a C major scale because those notes don't have any sharps or flats. So starting off on the open E string, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. You can also say the interval. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And just play that enough times to get familiar with it. Step 2, we're going to need to turn this pattern into something we can move around the neck. So I'm just going to move everything up 2 frets. Obviously, my first finger is now going to be doing the job of the nut originally. Now, this pattern is comfortably within the span of 4 frets. There's nothing that we have to stretch to. Now, moving this pattern up 2 frets is going to raise this scale by a whole step. A whole step above C is D major. So I would have F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G, and A. Again, I recommend playing through the scale enough times so that you can get familiar with it. And of course, I'm playing it in different interval combinations. I was using thirds there. So the idea is to kind of get used to playing it. Now, inside of this movable shape of the major scale are all the chords of our key. So for example, D major is my 1 chord. E minor is my 2 chord. There's my F sharp minor is my 3 chord. There's a G major, which is going to be my 4 chord. There's my 5 chord, which is A major. 6 chord, which is going to be my B minor. My 7 chord, which can be C sharp half diminished, or you could play an A over C sharp. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. In addition, all of my diatonic arpeggios are going to be found within this shape. So like here's a D major 7 arpeggio. Here's an E minor 7 arpeggio. Or an F sharp minor 7 arpeggio. G major 7 arpeggio. Here's my A7 arpeggio. Here's my B minor 7 arpeggio. And my C sharp diminish. So all of those diatonic arpeggios are in there as well. So this is a very, very useful pattern. It also has our B.B. King pattern if you play blues. So a lot of our double stops. And it's great for country. So this little shape has so much to offer. To take this to all the other 12 keys, first of all, we have to know what those other 12 keys are. One of the things that I always tell my students is to memorize these cycle 4. So cycle 4 is simply all the notes of the chromatic scale in fourths. C, F, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, F sharp, B, E, A, D, and G. To get used to this from a note recognition point of view, I often recommend doing it string at a time. C, F, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, F sharp, B, E, A, D, G. Let's try that on the A string as well. So C, F, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, F sharp, B, E, A, D, and G. These notes are going to be our locators for all these different modes that we're going to be talking about. I often recommend to my students to be able to say all 12 major scales verbally cycle 4 as well. This helps you to understand what notes are available in the scales, and it's going to give a reference point for us to be able to understand where these modes are located. So let's try this right now. C major, C, D, E, F, G, A, B. F major, F, G, A, B flat, C, D, E. B flat major, B flat C D E flat F G A, E flat major, E flat F G, A flat B flat C D, A flat major, A flat B flat C, D flat E flat F G, D flat major, D flat E flat F, G flat A flat B flat C, F sharp major, F sharp G sharp A sharp B, C sharp D sharp B sharp, B major, B C sharp D sharp E, F sharp G sharp A sharp, E major, E F sharp G sharp A, B C sharp D sharp, A major, A B C sharp D E F sharp G sharp, D major, D E F sharp G A B C sharp, and finally G major, G A B C D E F sharp. So as a musician, this is a critical skill to have. If you don't know all your major scales, this is something that I would work on as soon as you can. It's going to be really important for us to figure out what modes we're looking for. For example, the sixth mode of B flat major, B flat C D E flat F G, the sixth note of that scale, is going to be the Aeolian mode. The Aeolian mode is the sixth mode of any key. The sixth mode of C is A Aeolian. The sixth mode of F is D Aeolian. The sixth mode of B flat is G Aeolian. So these things are going to remain a constant throughout all of diatonic major scale harmony. So let's take a look at our pattern that we've done. Because I know the D major scale, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, that means that I know all 7 modes of the key of D major, just using one pattern. The confusion with guitar players usually comes from thinking that a mode is a scale, or that I have to do something different as the player to make the mode happen. The D major scale is the same thing as the E Dorian mode. Here is going to be my F sharp Phrygian. Here's my G Lydian. Here's my A Mixolydian. Here's my B Aeolian. And here's my C sharp Locrian. So why is that? Well, it's the chord that makes the mode. Does that sound like D major to you? No, that sounds like a minor type of scale. And the reason is because the notes of D major are going to be heard against the E minor chord. The E sounds like home. So the E note in that pattern sounds like home. If I go back to D, now the D sounds like home. Well, what if I hit the A chord? Now that pattern sounds kind of like country or bluesy. Well, that's because it's Mixolydian now. The notes that you choose are going to be from the key center. So any of the chords in the key center are going to give you that mode. If I want to play E Dorian, I just play a D major scale, wherever I want. I don't have to start up here. Because E Dorian can be anywhere else on the neck. All right, so how do we move this around? Well, once we understand what chords and modes are in the key, then we can start using this as a substitute for any of those situations. Okay, if I want it to be Ionian, I'm going to find the root on my pinky within the pattern. Okay, so whatever your pinky is on with this pattern is going to be Ionian. So if I want C Ionian, right? I would put my pinky on C, in the open position would be the ring finger, but if I was moving it up here, if I wanted it to be F Ionian, put a pinky on F. If I want a B flat, I find a B flat. If I want E flat, if I want A flat, and so on and so forth. All the Ionian modes will be found with the pinky on the A string. All the Dorian modes are going to be found with the first finger on the D string. So E is the Dorian of the key of D major. So all I have to find if I want C Dorian is find a C note with my first finger on the D string. If I want F Dorian, I find F with my first finger here. Or B flat Dorian. Or E flat. A flat. The pattern doesn't change. You're still playing the exact same notes in the same location within that pattern, but the mode is going to change depending on the chord. So if someone said, hey, let's solo over G Dorian, I would put the G right here on the D string with my first finger, and then I would get that third pattern of the major scale again to be Dorian. Let's move on to Phrygian. Well, since it's the third pattern of the key, it already is Phrygian. So if I wanted D Phrygian, for example, find your first finger on the low E string and just play straight up that pattern. Okay, so C Phrygian, first finger on the low E string, finding a C note. F Phrygian, first finger on the low E string, finding F. B flat, E flat, A flat. What about the fourth mode, Lydian? Well, that's going to be the middle finger on the low E string. If I want C Lydian, my first finger's there. Line up your pattern. If I want F Lydian, middle finger here. B flat Lydian. E flat Lydian. A flat Lydian, so on and so forth. If I want Mixolydian, that's going to be the pinky on the low E string. If I want C Mixolydian, the pinky goes on C, and I line up my fingers to that pattern. F Mixolydian, E flat Mixolydian, what about Aeolian? Aeolian is going to be the first finger on the A string. If I want C Aeolian, first finger goes here. You'll actually notice that little chord in there. F Aeolian. B flat Aeolian. E flat Aeolian. For Locrian, it's going to be the ring finger on the A string. So if I want C Locrian, or F Locrian, so using this one shape, this one pattern is going to give you the ability to play any of the 84 modes. So you could use a randomizer to practice this. So I could do C Ionian and then find using that third pattern on the major scale for C. And then I could switch going to F, but now I could do Dorian. So now I have to find F Dorian. So I'm putting my first finger on the note F. And then I could go to B flat Phrygian, put my first finger on B flat. And then I could go to Lydian for E flat, put my middle finger on E flat. Then I could go to A flat Mixolydian, put my first finger on the low E string on A flat. And then if I wanted D flat Aeolian, I could just find D flat here. That would be my D flat Aeolian. And then if I wanted a F sharp Locrian, just find F sharp with a ring finger on the A string. So with these types of randomizers, you can practice locating any of these modes by yourself. Now, of course, you're going to want to get all 7 patterns in the major scale, so you're not just stuck in one place. But I think that this is a good way to kind of start opening up the neck for yourself, especially if you're the type of improviser that may need special modes only occasionally. You might be able to use this trick to find those in the heat of the battle in an improvisation. If you find this content helpful or you learned something today, go ahead and give us a like. Consider subscribing to the channel. I really appreciate it. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.